Hello, everyone. Good evening from Manila. We will be starting in 2 minutes. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us in tonight's webinar. Good evening from Manila. Good afternoon or good morning from everywhere else in the world. Thank you all for joining us. So, welcome to The Future is Now: Resilience and Sovereignty Through People-Led Agroecology, the online learning exchange series of the field learning sites of the International People's Agroecology Movements, or IPAM. Briefly, IPAM is a network of field learning sites from all over the world that provides opportunities for farmers to know more about agroecological approaches to grow food and showcase what agroecology movements are doing on the ground. It's basically a platform to also share knowledge, to also share learnings and whatever activities the field learning sites are doing from across the globe. It's not only for farmers, but also for everyone interested in joining the global movement for agroecology. So good evening once again from Manila. I am Tay. I'm the PANAP coordinator for Agroecology Program and the Asian People's Exchange for Food Sovereignty and Agroecology, or APEX. I will be your facilitator for this exchange. Before we start, I would like to ask everyone to please change or rename yourselves to name and then organization, just like my name right now. So please rename yourselves, your name, and then your organization. Thank you. I would like to inform everyone as well that we are live streaming our event on Facebook. So the idea for the theme of this webinar series stems from the corporate hijacking of our vision and understanding of the future of food and farming, which inevitably shapes our aspirations and actions that will realize this future. A future in which there's a world where no one is poor and hungry, especially the people who grow our food. When everyone has equitable access to safe, healthy, sustainable food, this collective vision is being deliberately equated by agro TNCs with productivism that they say can be met only by wide-scale automation and standardization, opaque global corporate value chains dependent on fossil fuels, and expensive state-of-the-art, resource-intensive products that only they have the final financial resources to provide. The current climate breakdown and widening inequality show show how unsustainable their pathway is. We believe that the future of our food system, food sovereignty, is only possible through agroecology. As a science, praxis, and rights-based movement, agroecology is able to embody the change we wish to see in our food system: plural, equitable, healthy, safe, where everyone is fed well while protecting our planet and communities. In our vision of the future, people, rather than corporations, are the agents of transformation. And the change imagined and aspired towards is systemic rather than simplistic, distributive rather than accumulative, circular instead of destructive, and where the indigenous intersects with innovative rather than precludes it. It's a world where food is restored as a basic human right rather than a strategic asset to financialize and profit off in global financial markets. It's a food future that is biodiverse and resilient rather than one built on homogeneity and consolidation for control. We will explore this idea of the future of food in several webinars over the next couple of months. So IPAM is launching tonight, the first of the three episodes of this webinar series. So for tonight, our theme is Indigenous Innovative, Agroecology as a Climate Solution. Climate resilience is huge and important topic and issue, and a climate resilient food future is one that corporations really like to gatekeep, often using violent and repressive actions. Under the corporate regime, the food system's ability to survive and thrive does not rest on the protection of rights and interdependence of people and ecosystems, but on the relentless pursuit of profit through propriety, digital innovations to maintain dominance and competitive advantage. In this first of series of webinars, we focus on the importance of indigenous worldviews and practices in agroecology as the necessary climate solution and challenge their dismissal by agro-TNCs while extracting from it in the form of various false solutions stripped of their social and political power, such as nature-based solutions, carbon offsetting, climate-smart agriculture, among others. With agroecology, farmers are active producers and not passive recipients of innovations for climate resilience. And under agroecology, innovation is not constrained merely within novel tools and technologies solely to improve productivity and profit. But innovation, in essence, means doing things differently, and therefore broadens to include social processes and structures of relationships, among others, to achieve climate resilience and food sovereignty, and protect the political and social agency of farmers and communities in meeting their needs and shaping their future. Today, we will be representatives of different field learning sites of IPAM in Asia to share with us their insights into this topic. We will have a chance to ask them questions later after all of them have spoken. So instead of the usual Q&A after each speaker, we will let our four speakers finish and then we will go to Q&A. All right. I hope you're still doing okay. So for our first speaker, she is Angeline Daransun or Angie. She is the Socioeconomic Program Director for the Indigenous Community Organization, Partners of Community Organizations, or PACOS Trust, based in Sabah, Malaysia. PACOS Trust is one of the first IPAM field learning sites and longtime partner as well of PANAP. A member of the Dusunic Indigenous Ethnic Group, Angeline is a community organizer and PACOS trainer in agroecology with knowledge and experience in organic farming, QSA natural farming, system of rice intensification, processing of local herbs, spices and seasoning, and the protection of heirloom seeds. PACOS Trust is a community-based organization dedicated to supporting indigenous communities in Sabah, which works to empower indigenous communities through systematic building and strengthening of community organizations so that they can act collectively on their own. So once again, good evening, and Angeline, I will give you the floor.
Thank you, Tay. In very good morning, evening. I'm Angie. Today, I want to share with you about Indigenous in innovation idea people lead to climate solution. Today, we want to
Hi, Angie, can you turn off your video first? I think your internet is quite low. So if you can
talk
please
about
turn
the.
off. Angie, excuse me.
Hello,
Yeah,
you can
can you
hear
turn
me?
off your video, please?
Okay.
Okay, so that the internet is better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Please
Today, I
continue.
want to, yeah. Today, I want to share about the climate crisis regarding the impact of the climate to our indigenous community in at various level. The climate crisis affect actually individual, household, global, also the global, also globally, and it affect our health because of the climate change can affect the quality of our food we consume. And also instability in food production can lead to rising the food prices and also disrupt global supply chain in food security. The changing of the weather patterns such as drought, floods, damage our crop and also reduce agriculture produce. And certain crops also may no longer be viable in our specific area due to the changing climate condition. This forcing our farmers to switch to more suitable crop, leading to loss of our biodiversity and also crop diversity in degradation of our ecosystem. So how is the ag agroecological innovation can help us to adapt climate impact? Here is some practices under agroecology we practice in our indigenous community. But before we continue, what is the practices practices is, I want to explain here what is the innovation under the agroecology. Innovation can help us to adapt to the climate impact. Here, the, to solve the problem and also to is a value creation and can make sustainability to our food production and also fallen.
Yes, please continue.
Hello, we continue. The innovation on agriculture is a process of creating and also implementing the new idea or method to product a process that brings significant improvement to solve our uh, problem. To solve our problem. Then the purpose is to address specific challenges and enhance our value for customer, society, competitive, and also help stay ahead or more resilient and promote environmental and also social sustainability to thrive onto economic development. Innovation under agroecology actually integrated uh, ecological principle into agriculture system, leverage innovation in various ways to enhance the sustainability and also the resilience and productivity. Such integrative approach to combine our traditional uh, agriculture knowledge with modern scientific research to create sustainable farming practice. And also to promote our resilient agriculture. Hello, I'm drop.
Yeah, you're dropping. Can you
Yeah.
yeah.
Would you
Can you
please?
we go back to the second slide?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, this one. Uh,
This one? No, next.
the next.
Next. After that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one. Actually, is this is the process of creating innovation. Is a process of creating, implementing new idea, methods that bring significant improvement. The purpose is, the innovation is more on address specific challenges, also enhance value for our consumer or society, and also to help us to stay ahead of more resilience. And we want to promote environmental and also social sustainability, also to drive economic development. So the innovation under agroecology actually integrated ecological principle into agriculture system, leverage leverage innovation in various ways to enhance our sustainability, resilient, and also productivity. It can be combine our traditional agriculture knowledge with modern scientific research to create sustainable farming practice. Biodiversify focuses in also breeding climate resilient crops, varieties in promote improving soil organic and also health.
Hello, Angeline. Are you speaking?
Hello, yes. Hi.
Can you maybe move the mic closer to your mouth, please?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how is this agriculture, agroecological innovation can help us to adapt to the climate impact? Here are some of our practices under agroecology to adapt with the climate impact. So one is in our indigenous community practices is the crop diversification and also polyculture. So this is the intercropping, growing multiple crops together to enhance the biodiversity, improve the soil health, and also to reduce pest in disease pressure. And in terms of soil health management, uh, we practice the practices we are doing is to um, cover cropping to protect soil from erosion, uh, and also to improve soil structure in increase the organic matter. So, and also we didn't use the um, big machinery to do the tillage in the soil. So we minimize soil disturbance to maintain the soil structure. And also in terms of water management, we do rain harvesting, drips, and also mulching um, to make the soil stay uh, is not dry. And also um, we do climate resilient crop variety. This is a crop resistant to the drought, flood, and also resistant to the heat. And one is the recent activity of we doing with our community is participatory breeding in also research. This is we establishing our local seed bank to preserve and share climate resilient crops variety to others communities. So how we can see this agriculture innovation in terms of economic. It's increased if we combine the innovation and also the traditional knowledge in our agriculture innovation, it can benefit to our economy. It increase our productivity, more cost efficiency, in also the new technology in sustainable practices can create job in agriculture technology development in term of maintenance in other also education. In social aspect of food security, this can um, sustain our food security because of the increase of the agricultural productivity in preservation of tradition in terms of cultural such sustainable practices aligned with traditional knowledge, helping to preserve our cultural heritage. In this light, our IP community using moon shaped cycle to planting and also hunting. We documented these practices as a guidance for the youngest generation. And in terms of environmental, uh, organic farming practices, agroforestry practices, also can improve the soil health and reduce pollution from the chemical input. So it make the agriculture more sustainability and reduce the harm to environment. And also innovation can is is also a resource efficiency. In terms of political policy support, can enabling environment to innovation through supportive policy, and also uh, maybe we can do collaboration with the international in terms of innovation in agriculture. Okay, so this is
Angeline?
so
Yeah, please continue.
so to act in terms of right and also the risk regarding this innovation in the agriculture, actually uh, we still have the right to, we are the indigenous community, we have the right to access the new technology, and also in terms of land right, we have the right to protecting our land tenure, and also the property right is essential to allow farmers to invest and benefit from the innovation. And in terms of farmer information in irrigation, we have the rights about the new technologies and also practices to make informed decisions. And the risk is in terms of the economy risk, investment in new technology is actually a financial risk, especially for the small scale farmers. And in terms of environment, is a negative environment impact. It if innovation are not carefully managed and also regulated. And for the social and cultural is not culturally sensitive or socially exclusive, because it can exacerbate inequality and also disrupt traditional practices. And what is the approach to this right and also the risk? So one is the approach is engage farmer and also the communities in the development and also the implementation. This is the participatory development with the community, and also provide education and training to empower farmers to adopt and adapt the innovation effectively conduct. And in the risk assessment in management, potential risk in also implement measure to mitigate negative uh, impact. And also for the monitoring and evaluation is continuously monitor the impact of innovation in just the strategy. So what is the role of the indigenous knowledge in also practices in the climate resilience. And this is the practices we are doing in our country with the indigenous people. Indigenous knowledge uh, in practices have played a significant role in terms of ecology knowledge community community. We do a protocol in also system on their resources in ICCA. So here they are already have the system how they manage the uh, area, our indigenous community conservation area. So they have a way they can get the uh, resources of the livelihood and also where the area, uh, the agriculture um, can the agriculture area and also we manage the river. This is the we have a system we call it tagal to uh, to manage the resources in the river, like the fish. We use tagal to protect and also to let the fish to breed when with the certain period of time, and then we harvest when the uh, time is come. And also uh, biodiversity conservation. This is a IP indigenous people practices often promote biodiversity, which is crucial for ecosystem resilience. So we have a lot of diversity of our crops is more resilient on the climate. And also we do a sustainable practices like traditional agriculture practices on crop rotation and also polyculture in forestry. So how we measuring this is the climate change. Actually, the vulnerability assessment uh, is to identify and also evaluate the specific vulnerability of the community or ecosystem to climate impacts. And also, uh, we do a resilience indicator like environment biodiversity level to check the environment biodiversity level, soil health, and also uh, water management. In social indicator, uh, it's most on social uh, ot- community network access to the resources and also educational education level of the community and uh, adaptive community uh, recovery speed participatory method and also monitoring in evaluation. So in terms of innovation, what is the role of innovation in future of the food and also farming? Innovation is a critical role in shaping the future of food and also farming. So one is the role of the innovation is to make the sustainable agriculture practices. We can uh, we can utilize technology like GPS, IoT in analyt data analytic to integrate with the traditional knowledge. So we can do a smart farming together and also innovation in organic farming technique. With the combination of the traditional farming knowledge in with the modern scientific research, this is the to make the sustainable agriculture practic practices more sustainability. So also in the climate resilience, we want to develop the drought resistant crops. So this is we need the collaboration with the scientific research and also the traditional knowledge because in indigenous community we have a lot of uh, biodiversity of uh, biodiversity of the crops is more resistant on the climate. So if we do the uh, combination with the scientific, modern scientific research, we can do or develop a new uh, seeds. They are more resistant on the climate change. And also, yeah, this is the technological, with the technological advancement. And for support the community also, we need to develop supply chains innovation. This is more on e-commerce and also digital marketplace. This is connecting the farmers directly with the consumer. And we need the support from also from the government in term of policy in terms of the community in policy innovation. So we need also agricultural education and training. This is program to educate farmers about the new technology in sustainable practices. So for the summaries, innovation actually is essential for creating a resilient and also sustainable food in farming system in our society and also in uh, indigenous community. By integrating the traditional knowledge, cutting edge technology, sustainable practices in some smart policies, we can address the pressing challenges facing global agriculture to ensure food security and protect the environment for the future generation. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anje. Thank you for that really very informative and very quite comprehensive presentation of Paco's practices, no? And just a couple of takeaways which I picked up from Angie. One is that innovation helps us solve the different climate-induced problems. It is dynamic and plural, combining tradition and modernity rather than static and singular. Indigenous pathways are hospitable to these characteristics of innovation. Innovation cannot exist in a bubble as a technology product, which can be quite a risk for small-scale farmers. So it has to be seen and approached in a holistic and dynamic manner, just like what Angie has presented. And of course, it cannot be more emphasized that innovations that integrate indigenous praxis provide economic sustainability to the communities in a way that protects traditional knowledge and cultural heritage, which is tied to the environment, the land of indigenous people. That's why it is important to keep monitoring the impact of innovation on the community and paying close attention to the social indicators which are often neglected. So the marriage of innovation and indigenous practices should always be looked into at the same time. And then we should always remember that at the core is the indigenous community, which should be protected, their land and their rights and so forth. So thank you again, Angie, for that really, really wonderful presentation. So our second speaker is before I introduce our second speaker, please may I also once again remind everyone to rename yourselves. Please your name and then your organizations. Thank you so much. So our second speaker is Pavel Parta. He's the director of the Bangladesh Resource Center for Indigenous Knowledge, or BARSIC. Now, he's a trained botanist and a published writer and researcher on ecology and diversity. Pavel conducted a pioneering large-scale ethnobotanical research in Bangladesh. He is involved in organizing against the establishment of eco parks and safari parks at the expense of indigenous livelihood and ecological justice. He struggles alongside indigenous peoples, and among his significant critiques are of the control of Asian Development Bank over the natural sal forest of Madhupur, the Occidental Unukal and Chevron invasion of the Lawachera rainforest, and Shell's oil and gas extraction in the world's largest mangrove forest, Sundarban. Barsic is involved in exploring and incorporating indigenous knowledge and local practices into contemporary development programs. It promotes the significance of local and indigenous knowledge through the education curriculum and independent research efforts in order to facilitate the empowerment of local indigenous communities. Take it away, Pavel.
Yes, thank you, Tay. So thanks to all again. So special thanks to Tay. You told more of on me. I'm very little person and it's very general. Basically, I'm a learner. So learn from the community because I believe the community knowledge, their strength, their spirit, and the movement. So now I'm going to share my screen. Uh, Oh, it is disable. Okay. Can I share my screen? Diana, can I share my screen?
Okay, hold on, Pavel.
Because it is disable. The screen sharing option is disabled here.
Can you try again?
Yes, now it's okay now.
Okay.
Okay. So welcome to all. This is a as basically I want to share with you a story. It's a people-led agroecological practices by the coastal communities in Bangladesh. It is as a like the kind of the climate solution. So uh, now I'm going to share with you the living with indigenous rice. Hope all of you know that the picture is here from the major four different ecological zones from Bangladesh. Uh, so one area is that the wetland. So this area is affected by flash flood and the other the climate shocks, and another area is flat plan. This area is affected by river erosion and also the thunderbolt. But the coastal community, they are affected by severe cyclone salinity intrusion and also water surges, water logging, and also they are facing crisis for the irregular rainfall and also the river erosion. As another area is the dryland. So this area is also affected by the different climate shocks. Bangladesh is divided by 30 ecological zones, but different area is affected differently due to the climate shocks and crisis. And you can see here there are some agroecological practices by the communities, basically the climate adaptation. You can see here the floating gardens and also the raised bed, also the hanging garden, and also the mixed crop with the biological controls. So there are different kind of the adaptation practices related to the indigenous knowledge and the resources in a community. So when we want to share with you a specific cases. So it means that the indigenous practices by the community with their local resources, it's not new. It is their tradition. It is their part of their livelihood, part of their learning process. So the community, they have their knowledge, they have their innovation spirit, they have their resources. So all the time, community are searching how to cope with any kind of the unweather uneven weather or any kind of the climate shocks. So you can see here also the sack garden, the community say cope with the flash flood, and also the sandbar cultivation community cope with the landslide. And we are going to now to share the climate solution stories from the coastal areas. So the specific coastal areas, the community, they are affected by the different kind of the climate shocks. And the community, you can see here the hazards, climate induced hazards ranked by the community. And also you can see here it is in Bangla. It is a basically weather forecasting calendar based on their indigenous knowledge. So recent means the 20 to 30 years, the community affected more by cyclones and intensity of cyclones and the water surge and the increase the salinity, waterlog, flood, thunderbolt, etc. So the community started their climate solution with indigenous knowledge and with indigenous resources. So resources is they collect the resources. So the local rice, local native rice, the germplasm from their saline and coastal ecosystem. So one thing, when we are talking on the indigenous knowledge, related to the climate solution, it means the indigenous rice and all the indigenous genetic resources, uh, they have their own characters in their name by the communities. The when community naming their any kind of rice, we call it the ethnotaxonomy of the community. So it is related to their metaphors. So you can see here a rice name is the Begun Bichu rice, means Begun means the brinjal. The rice likes the brinjal seeds. So sometimes you can see also here there is a different rice. It's called the Lonkapura Bine rice. It's a character from the Ramayana. So sometimes the rice is also is a name from the tradition, from the folklore kind of this. There is a rice named the Jamai Naru rice. It's a super aromatic rice. So used for the new bride and groom. So Jamai means new bride. So there is a different kind of rice, local rice, but it can kind of the each rice has the clue in its names by the community. So now I'm going to the rice named the Nona Kochi. So Nona means saline tolerant rice. So there are different kind of saline tolerant rice in the coastal zone before the 1960. So there is the Shadamuta, Shabari Maluti, Jotai Balam, Birpala, Gandhakostori, Datkani, Horishankar, and Charulota. These are the local rice, but before 1960s, when the so-called Green Revolution was not started, the coastal community they cultivated this kind of the saline tolerant local rice variety. But after the so-called Green Revolution, they lost of the local rices. And this story is the struggling with the salinity is caused by the climate-induced disaster by the local community, by their indigenous knowledge, and also by their indigenous varieties. So it is the people's-led agroecological practices from the coast. So you can see here, due to the extreme salinity, people lost their agricultural land. So loss of the farmer, they bound to migrate it to from the village to the city in the urban areas as a day laborer. But this story is based on a new cakes party. We can see here the plate full of the cakes made from the rices. So I want to share with you the cake party story. In 2009, the coastal area is affected by devastated cyclones named the Isla, and most of the land gone under the saline water. After that, the 2009 to 2017, whole area is waterlogged with the extreme saline. But on 2017, the community started a new journey with their local indigenous resources, with their indigenous knowledge. The community is the women and men with their uh, young generation. So they made their own groups, the people's organization, and they started their kind of the natural farming with their own resources. And after that, in 2018, they basically re-excavated the land, and they cleaned the saline water from their land because they rely on their own indigenous knowledge, and they started to cultivate their land with the saline tolerant rice varieties. So how they got the seeds? They got the saline tolerant seeds from the other farmers organization because they have their own seed bank. Is also related to the Barsik. So they make an interconnection with the other farmers groups, and they started to recultivate. And not only the 1 or 2 hectare, 200 hectares of land, basically they recultivated with their indigenous knowledge, with their indigenous rice varieties. In 2023, the last year, they cultivated rice, they consumed their rice, and they basically organized the cakes party for the new generation. And also now they exchange their rice, their production, and also they exchange their saline tolerant seeds with the other farmers. So this story basically we learn from the story uh, uh, the people-led agroecology as a climate solution because it helps us to conserve the agro biodiversity, not only the rice. When they started to cultivate the local native indigenous rice, so they conserve the local wild uncultivated food plants. So the poor family, they consume the wild plants, which is grown only in the local rice field because they do not use synthetic fertilizer. They do not use any kind of pesticides. And also, the women and men, they also try to involve with the rice breeding. not only the native rice germplasm conservation, also the rice breeding. So two farmers, they developed very specific saline tolerant varieties, and he renamed it the crossbreed varieties the after uh, generation 5. Its name is now Charulata. So now they have in their hand 88 the rice breeding lines. So mostly they are saline tolerant. Saline tolerant means most of the rice can grow in 7 ppm saline water, more than 7 ppm saline water, but most of the rice can easily grow in the 3 to 5 pm saline water. And also after this they also store and they preserve their seeds in their home, so they have their rice seeds in their own uh, home, in their own seed bank, and community they have also their seed bank. So seed bank is the one kind of the works that related to their the indigenous knowledge and also the indigenous resource based practice, because they want to cope with the salinity. So they make their seed bank so mostly the saline tolerant rice and also the saline tolerant vegetables, and also they can now exchange their seeds. So seed exchange is also built the community involvement with the other communities, and it's uh, strengthen the community confident on their knowledge, on their resources, because after 1960, when the community bound to started the so-called green revolution and bound to cultivated the so-called high-yielding varieties, hybrids, the community mostly their confidence is the fragile. They lost their confidence on their own resources. But this story also regained their confidence on their own resources, so own knowledge. So seed exchanges not only like this, the community can exchange their seeds. It means the more thing. And also we have discussed the plant breeding. So community they have also involved in the plant breeding. So it make the interconnect the indigenous knowledge and also the quote unquote the academic knowledge. So it's just the different dimension. So and also they started a seed library for the awareness of the for the student, because student in the new generation, they are not hope not in Bangladesh, also in the South Asia, or also in the Asia, the new generation not interested to stay with the farming, but the community, they started a seed library to show the student what kind of resources and knowledge the community they have. So it makes the student, the new generation, they respect the community knowledge, their moms, their grandmoms, their grandfathers, their fathers, or the quote unquote the illiterate the farming communities, means who are not taken education from the institute, from the university, but now the student, they are also giving their uh, respect to the community. And also the more involvement, the how can community share their learning, their research findings to the broader audience, to the broader community. So they arrange the seed fair through the seed advocacy, also the agrobiodiversity fair, the exhibition. So it's a kind of this when when the uh, 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 any academician or the scientist, they developed any kind of experiment. After that, they wrote it in any journal. But the community, they have no any kind of journal. They have the living journal, so they are oral tradition. So from through the oral tradition, so the community, they exchange their findings, their scientific findings with the broader audience. And also the some farmers also the getting the urge from the government, from the institute, and from the community. So hope you know that there are five dimensions of the agroecology: the social dimension, the cultural dimension, the environmental dimension, the economical dimension, also the political dimension. Through this story, the community basically cope with the salinity. So basically, it is the climate induced shocks that they affected, but now they are contributing to their uh, social bondage, and also the indigenous innovative knowledge and also the resources help them to strengthen their cultural bondage, to conserve their cultural identity and also the cultural rights. And also it helping the community, the environmental and the ecological justice, because they are not using any kind of external input like the synthetic fertilizer, like the pesticide. They only use the biofertilizer and also only the biopesticide, and also they practice the biological control, they practice mulching, mixed cropping, kind of this, and the crop rotation is a kind of this. And also it help the community, not only for the human being, also they conserve the wild plant, wild flora, wild fauna, and they produce food, the rice, not only for the community, for the people, also for their chickens, ducks, and also cows, their livestock. And also the wild bird, snails, earthworm, frogs, the birds, they can easily come in their rice field, and they can consume their own food. So through this process, the community, they basically balance the local food system, the local food cycle, and also it contribute to the community's economical purpose, because it's strengthen their rural and also the family based the economical needs. And also it strengthen the political motivation. Is very crucial for the agroecology movement, because the community, they have the evidence, they have their evidence with their people. They have their own organization, also they are connected with the youth groups, also they are connected with the media, with the local governments. They have the evidence, so politically they are sound. It can contribute to community, and contribute to the Bangladesh, the agriculture, to uh, reduce the climate risks in the coastal area. So thanks to all to
Thank you.
mm,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Thank you, Pavel. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. It's very clear, how diversity, how indigenous knowledge, how indigenous practices really, plays a very, very important role, no? And I think of all the things that Pavel have shared, one important takeaway, I think, would be the engagement of the students and youth. It's very important when we talk about future. Agroecology is the future of food systems. I think it's really very important to now more than ever to like chase the youth, like really engage the youth, and that's wonderful to hear that through these different approaches and practices of Barsik. students and youth in their communities are engaged. So thank you very much, Pavel. Now we're going to our third speaker. But before we go to the third speaker, may I request everyone to please turn on your videos. Let's take the photo right now while we're still, there's still 50. Hi, Marcus. uh, hi, everyone. Yes, also lovely. Okay, let's take a photo. Hi, Herman. Hi, friends. Nice to see your faces. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Our colleagues here in Panama. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. One more. Next frame. Please open all your videos.
Nadala naman yun.
Okay. Guys, please show your faces. Let's do this.
1, 2, 3, smile.
Okay. And for the final
Okay.
frame. Hi. Hi, Angela. Hi, everyone. Okay. Please open your videos. We're taking a photo.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone who did not open their videos, you cannot ask a question. Just kidding. Anyway, okay, let's go back to going back to our program. Yeah, our third speaker, supposed to be we have Jory Pitong of Masipag, Visayas from the Philippines. Masipag is of course the farmer scientist network here in the Philippines who is known for pioneering a lot of agroecological innovations, no, and indigenous and promoting indigenous practices. Instead of Jory, we will have Kervin Bonganciso, who is the advocacy officer of Masipag, Visayas. No, Kervin joined Masipag in 2017 and has done research work on the glyphosate residue test and its impacts on people's health. He is also currently the coordinator of the Panay Alliance of Concerned Citizens for Health and Environmental Protection. That organization is based in the Visayas Island. It's south of Philippines. Masipag implements sustainable agriculture and agroecology programs and activities aimed to empower small and resource-poor farmers and their communities to become food secure and self-reliant. Alongside its technical programs, Masipag has put more efforts in building farmers' resilience to climate change. Masipag Visayas has an active presence in 11 of the 16 provinces in central Philippines. Its operation clustered into 4, implementing sustainable agriculture and agroecology programs and activities. Take it away, Kervin.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tay, for the introduction, and it will save time. I will no longer discuss further about Masipag because you already introduced what Masipag is. So, good afternoon, everyone. I will be presenting or discussing the presentation in behalf of Ms. Jory Pitong tonight. So, as what Tay has mentioned earlier, no, next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next pa. Sorry. Yes, no, Masipag is a farmer-led network working towards sustainable management of biodiversity of through farmers' control and genetic and biological resources, agricultural production, and associated knowledge. It is also an expression and strategy of Filipino farmers' resistance and search for alternative to the Green Revolution and the International Rice Research Institute. As what they mentioned before, Masipag is a network of farmers and NGOs and scientists. So for decades, these three sectors are working together hand in hand closely to achieve food security and to forward agroecology in the Philippines. Just to give a short context about how Masipag came to be, Masipag was alternative of the resource poor farmers during the Green Revolution, because during that time, during the implementation of Green Revolution in the 70s and the 80s, its promise of food security and better life for farmers will not fulfill decades after. In short, that's why Masipag is here, no? And that's why Masipag has programs. Uh, it has developed or created programs that would address the problems and challenges left by the Green Revolution. So next slide, please. So the partnership and cooperation between the sectors, farmers, NGOs, and scientists, its main goal is for farmer empowerment, resiliency, and rural development. Alongside with it, it's to also organize communities and capacitate the farmers, in their advocacies. And with the scientists, it's partnership for technological advancement that addresses the needs of the farmers and their communities, and also building alliance. So next slide, please. As I've mentioned earlier, that Masipag was created or was formed as a response to the Green Revolution. So the Green Revolution program in the Philippines has expedited the promotion and adaptation of high-yielding varieties, along with accompanying technologies, replaced traditional rice varieties and control management practices of the farmers. It also resulted in decline of rice varieties, genetic resource, and biodiversity and posed risk to the sustainable food systems and the production of safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. So by that time, by 1980s, when the Green Revolution was implemented through the Masagana 99 program of then Marcos Sr., 90 or 87% of the rice farmlands were using high-yielding varieties, high-yielding varieties, and its accompanying technology. It has resulted to the degradation of traditional farming practices, and also farmers lost their control and access to traditional rice varieties. Next slide, please. And just to summarize, no, the Masipag evolved, it seeded as a project and sprouted and grew into the program by farmers. Experiences spread as a network and continue to broaden as a movement. What the It's in Tagalog, but what it is trying to say is that Masipag in its programs as a network adapt with the ever-changing and evolving challenges in agriculture and the current food system, from Green Revolution to the liberalization of agriculture to the introduction of GMOs, and now that we are facing climate change, its programs evolved and changed to address these challenges. Next slide, please. And it is Masipag puts emphasis being on being farmer led, and because Masipag is a partnership between the scientists and NGOs, its strategies to achieve and improve the quality and life of resource poor farmers is also centered around farmers. Next slide, please. So to let's now go to the second part of the discussion of Masipag's and farmers, its programs and the stories now of farmers. Next slide, please. So just like what the previous presenters have shared, Masipag also have community managed seed bankings uh, in the form of trial farms. So it is under the collection, identification, maintenance, multiplication, and evaluation program of Masipag. It is a community managed trial farms and also a seed bank. It plays a very vital role in enabling small farmers to reclaim the seeds and technology from the hands of profit hungry agri-seed corporations. So because of the Green Revolution and because of how it changed the farming system in the country, um, s- the programs of Masipag, for example, the CINE and the trial farm, is um, an expression and strategy of the Filipino farmers as a resistance to the Green Revolution. Next slide. At the same time, masipag farmers also regularly practice seed exchange during meetings and conferences. It is essential to propagate traditional rice varieties because in the conventional setting where agro-TNCs and seed companies have control over the patent, um, it is also a form of reclaiming the culture that the farmers once had before the introduction of the Green Revolution. Next slide, please. And unlike the conventional seed program of the government or of the corporations, next slide, please. In the context of trial farm, farmers are not only mere recipients of seeds and technologies. In Masipag's programs, farmers are involved. They are participating in identifying the seeds, the technologies that is apt in their situation. Masipag's trial farms is, in contrast to the conventional breeding program, is collective, ecologically sound, and economically viable. So that's the difference of Masipag programs to the current seed or the conventional seed programs right now. Next slide, please. So trial farms serve as alternative demo farms. So Masipag's trial farm is an alternative demo farms. These are farmer managed, as I've mentioned, and farmer controlled, meaning their organizations are collectively managing these trial farms. In contrast to demo farms that are usually maintained in the academia institution, which are considered external forces. So Masipag trial farms are in place, are implemented in the communities of farmers. It is also a way to for farmers to know what kind of seeds is adopted in their communities and in the climate of that area. Next slide, please. Um, so next slide. So masipag trial farms are also used as pool of parent materials when farmers decide to breed their own rice varieties. So unlike conventional breeding program, farmers in Masipag also practice rice breeding, and these farmers they set the objective of their um, rice of what outcome they want with their rice varieties. So next slide. Under the the CME, no, the Masipag's program on seeds, Masipag POs demonstrate the very important role of Trial Farm as their community seed bank and as farmer-managed learning laboratory to demonstrate the Masipag farmers' advocacy in reclaiming the control on seeds and technology. So because Masipag farmers have um, reclaimed the control over the seeds and the technology, they have developed seed varieties that are adapted to the changing climate or that are climate resilient varieties. So these are the examples of that. Next slide, please. So climate resilient varieties, farmers collectively develop and identify rice varieties adapted to their local needs and ecosystem. So these are only some of the examples, the map of uh, the rice varieties that can be found all over the Philippines that were bred by Masipag farmers that are drought resilient, flood tolerant, tolerant to saltwater intrusion, and tolerant to pest and disease resistant. So over the years, no, Masipag and the farmers have developed these ano these rice varieties as a response to climate change. Next slide, please. So Masipag, no, Trial Farms brings farmers together and it helps no with analyzing common problems and to take action collectively. It really puts emphasis on collective action and collective leadership. Among the factors that encourage farmers to join Masipag is the rich biodiversity and rice collection maintained by the network. At the same time, trial farms help in consolidating and strengthening organizations as they are designed to be maintained collectively by the people's organization. The maintenance of 50 varieties as well as the documentation of its characteristics requires collective effort to come up with sound and effective plans. Trial farms also, as I've mentioned, are learning laboratories and motivates farmers to retrieve lost indigenous knowledge on seeds and agroecosystems, reclaiming the lost knowledge on seed and generation of new knowledge. Farmers' indigenous knowledge on seeds are tapped and revived. They are able to create and modify sustainable technologies, practices, improve their production. Moreover, they are able to hone their skills in scientific processes, including observation and data collection, useful and integral farmer-led rice breeding. And this is also where the farmer members or the academe and scientist members of the network um, uh, came into the I don't know into the process of the collaboration because they are also working with the farmers in developing new technologies that are sustainable and suitable the to the situation of in the ground. So next slide, please. Now, as I've mentioned, a trial farm is also a strategy for farmer empowerment. And these are the examples of the seeds collected, no, not only in rice, but we also collect, also collect and maintain traditional corn varieties and vegetables. Next slide, please. So this is the example, no, with the proliferation of GMO corn in the Philippines, the the network Masipag is also collecting and reclaiming traditional corn varieties all over the Philippines to revive the corn. The corn. Next slide, please. These are just some of the examples of the traditional corn varieties in the country that the farmers or the corn ecological communities, identified communities, are maintaining and preserving. Next slide, please. And as I've mentioned, we are also collecting local vegetables. Next slide. And additionally, we also collect and improve native chicken and native pigs. And this is where the collaboration between the scientist and the farmers also comes in hand. comes in handy. Next slide, please. And right now, Masipag already is maintaining around 1,132 rice varieties. Among of these are the traditional varieties, the Masipag rice, and farmer-bred rice. So rice breeding are done on site and happens in PO managed trial farms, as mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the photos taken during the on-site rice breeding training. Next slide. As I've mentioned, there are some PO-led establishment of ecological corn communities. This is also to combat the proliferation of GM corn. So Masipag communities, particular, for example, in Iloilo City or in Iloilo, are maintaining traditional rice varieties, and protecting the traditional corns. And it is also not it's also an expression of advocacy because these communities are also um, lobbying in their local communities, no, in their local government to pass legislations that would ban GMOs and glyphosate. So it's a comprehensive campaign to forward agroecology and also to against GMO. Next slide. Also, one of the programs of Masipag is the developing sustainable agro ecosystem, and under this is the diversified integrated farming system. It involves crop diversification, no, and also livestock diversification, integration, to create a beneficial synergy that supports sustainable food production and biodiversity. The efforts in strengthening the environment's resilience from natural disaster results to resilient communities. This program of ASIPAG is also one of the many other programs, no, that would help farmer mitigate the impact of the climate change. No? Just recently, the Philippines was or experienced El Nino, one of the worst in the last decades, and the diversification of the crops of Masipag farmers has helped them cope the with the impacts of El Nino. Next slide, please. And because of farmers being at the center of of it all, and because of practicing sustainable agriculture and agroecology, masipag farmers are also and scientists, no, and inventors. They also develop and innovate and adapt um, their own input in their farms, no, that they no longer depend on the products of the transnational corporations. So these products and these inputs are also because of their research and knowledge of uh, their needs. What are the immediate needs of their farms that needs to be addressed? So this is the result. The farmers develop and adopt the technologies. And because one of Masipag's approaches is the farmer to farmer mode of transfer of technology. When farmers develop or innovate, they also tend to, most of the time, they share this with other farmers. It's a way to help other farmers develop and also adopt um, technologies. Next slide, please. So Masipag not only focuses on the technical aspect, but also on in securing food security of the community. Thus, there's a local marketing and processing support program for the farmers. When farmers already have surplus product on their in their or in their organization, in their community, there's a local marketing and processing support program for that. It is also um, environmentally or ecologically viable because the the goal of LMPS is to make food accessible, to cut the carbon footprint that the usual market chain is doing, where products are being imported from far-flung areas. While in LMPS, the community, the POs are securing not only their food but also the food of in their community. So next slide, please. So now the Masipag program, um, because of this, there's a deeper sense of unity and solidarity among farmers and community. So mobility affected by lockdowns affected food transportation, and in spirit of bayanihan, farmers share their produce with the community through pantries. So during the pandemic, Masipag farmers or Masipag people's or farmers and their people's organization has conducted a lot of activities to ensure the food security in their own community. So this is just one. The photos here are just one. The many examples. Next slide, please. Masipag also put emphasis on the youth involvement in pushing agroecology. Farmer members, the children of farmer members are trained and involved in production and processing as second liners. They also take part in cultural campaign and advocacy related activities. This is crucial because Philippines, the average age of a farmer in the Philippines is 57. So it is an aging sector. So involving youth in masipag programs and activities is important to instill the importance of agriculture and the importance of farmers in securing security of the future. Next slide, please. One of the programs of Masipag also just recently is the climate change resiliency program. So as I've mentioned, the the Masipag programs are all encompassing and interrelated to one another. So from the CBE to advocacy to the LMPS to DISE, these are all we considered climate change resilient programs. So we help also know the communities how to cope and prepare for the impact of climate change in the community. So next slide, please. So insights, lesson learned, and recommendation. Next slide. People further strengthening of people's organization, the success of maintaining the trial farms, seed banks, and among other activities is rooted from unity and cooperation. While some POs have reached that certain level, we still have a lot of there is still more work to do by some of the people's organization also needs support in strengthening their organizational capabilities. Next slide. So the wide adaptation and sustained practice of masipag sustainable agriculture and agroecology principles increased farmers' resilience to climate change. Sustainable agriculture and agroecology adaptation is a no-regret adaptation. More resilient farmers means more resilient communities. Next slide. And sustaining campaign activities and advocacies, as economic and political and environmental challenges continue. A strong network working in solidarity with farmers, rights advocates is important in asserting favorable national and international policies. Next slide. So that's all. Maraming salamat po, Padayon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kervin, for that presentation. Very enriching and really a lot of experiences, no, for decades of Masipag existence in the Philippines. Masipag is actually the word Masipag means industrious and hardworking. It's a very witty response to the demonization of farmers in the Philippines for decades, that farmers are tagged as lazy and their poverty is because they do not work hard. So Masipag experience tells us otherwise, and that's the reality. Here in the Philippines, farmers are the most masipag of all the people. No? So just one takeaway, I think, it's about the seed or germplasm, which is the locus of a lot of innovations, but there's a fork in the road, no? Where agrochemical TNCs concentrate their innovations to genetic modifications that make the seeds property of and dependent to chemicals. People-led agroecology create community seed banks that promote food sovereignty, like what we saw in all the three presentations. Okay, and of course, agroecology puts the farmers first and at the core of the whole system, the whole processes. So it's very important to always remember that in agroecology, farmers come first. Okay, and for our last speaker, another I'm pretty sure very exciting and really enriching presentation from India, from Tanal, our friend Jayakumar Chalaton, Jayan. Jayan is very his commitment to environmental education, policy reforms, and grassroots initiatives over 4 decades has earned him recognition as a pioneer in the field. It was under his leadership when Tanal became a driving force for environmental conservation, spearheading campaign against harmful pesticides like endosulfan and advocating for sustainable practices across Kerala. Today, Tanal is a pioneering force in environmental action, making it one of the oldest organizations in Kerala. Through research, advocacy, action, and education, it fosters environmental health and justice, leaving a profound impact on policies for local to global levels. He has also served as director of Pesticides Action Network India, steering the organization's efforts to promote pesticide safety and ecological agriculture, and also director of Organic Bazaar, a 20-year-old social enterprise of Tanal, which promotes organic produce in Trivandrum. I love their millets. A published author, he is also a steering committee member of various international organizations and travels extensively to share his insights on POPs, pesticides, waste management, sustainable future, and environmental justice in national and international forum. So, Jayan. Jayan, you're on mute still. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Te. Thank you. I'm sorry for the kind of bit spaced out, primarily because in Kerala, in India, in Kerala, where we are having our one of the kind of we talk about climate change, and we are in the middle of it. We have today, in fact, we have nearly out of the 14 provinces in our state, 2 are on red alert and 10 on orange and 2 on yellow, meaning we have a heavy monsoon here. So let me talk about agroecology in the context of climate change. And here what you're seeing in the yellow color is the flood waters, and what you're seeing is actually a paddy field. This is how the paddy fields look now due to very intense rain, and due to the whole development we had, water have no space to go. So it floods back wherever you have a low space. So that is a crisis, and probably what we are facing today as a major crisis. It is not quite new. Like you can see the same in different images. Like this is right from 2018. We have this very intense flooding during July and almost the same time. And if you ask me, as tested with the 40 years, I will say that in Kerala, the monsoon has shifted almost a month. When I was in the college, we used to get heavy monsoons in June. Now it has come in July. Meaning the whole agricultural cycle, the crop cycles, everything is now challenged. And what we are seeing is more of devastation due to flooding. The top two pictures are about heavy flooding in homesteads, and Kerala is well known for homesteads. Where we have a house, and the area in the foreign backgrounds are fully cultivated with a variety of crops, and that is how people get their immediate needs met from the homesteads. And they do have commercial crops, like the bottom you see the banana plantations damaged, and there is one gentleman looking there with what you call his house is behind, the whole rubble was his house. So this is a kind of situation right now for 6 or 7 years in Kerala during July. And we talk about excavations of course, in Kerala, we also talk about a lot more. Lot more about this, and I just want to move my. The landslides bury the houses and people, and including like we have very unique situations, like one of our farmers was talking about half an acre of his coffee plantation just got washed away. So it is all these very surreal or unreal kind of looking situations happening, and many times we pay heavy price of losing lives also. Probably as a state, we were very vulnerable. As a state, we are very rich in biodiversity, very rich in climate, very rich in greenery, but this is the other side of that. And if you ask me, we have all the shades, like this is the shades of drought, when, as many people say, the way you experience climate changes, when you have drought during rain and flood during drought. So it is a kind of a funny situation in terms of a very challenging climatic situations in the state. And that is where we are talking about agroecology, and probably we are quite happy that there is a large number of takers for agroecology, and they really want to talk about how to move forward in the context of this extreme weather. It is also very interesting, like both my previous speakers from Malaysia, Malaysia, Bangladesh, and Philippines. Typically, rubber is a highland plant, and this is a rubber plantation in Kerala, in the hills, where the very intense rainfall floods the whole plantation. So this also affects the productivity of commercial crops, or what brings money to the farmers. Typically, the paddy fields or vegetable farms, the floods are caused by high intensity of rain. As I was telling you, when we talk about climate change, when I was in the college, the rain we used to get in 10 days, we get it a day now, and the 9 days there is no rain. So that is the kind of extremes, and when the intense rain comes, there is no place for the water to go, it gets flooded. And the broken landscape, where the landscape level management of land is not happening, conflicting land use, absence of drainage, fragmentation of land, you see a lot more systemic problems which is leading to causing the problems. And while we need a much bigger policy and other reforms to address the larger place, we have the success of farmers trying to show the way in terms of how to catch up with the weather, or how you tame the weather, or in a way how you live with the weather, or the changing climates. This is a very interesting situation, where one of the agroecology farmer on the right side with green, and the brown is the conventional farmer, where he lost almost all his banana crops with heavy storm, whereas the nearby field where we have a mixed crop agroecology farm where there's a lot more, like there are bigger herbs and shrubs and vegetables. So the intensity of wind is more cushioned, or there is a lot more resilience to the second farm. And probably we see more and more farmers now opting for agroecology or trying to talk about converting to agroecology, primarily because they see a lot of success of farmers who have moved into agroecological practices. And again, things like intercropping. I showed you the rubber where it is totally flooded, and this rubber where a whole diversity of medicinal plants as a cover crop. Then they have coffee in the middle, and then rubber on top, and on rubber there is pepper. So it is a kind of a intercropping which is trying to get more resilience in terms of it gives in multiple dimensions. Like there is a financial resilience, because if even when there is a drop in pepper production, the combination of income from cover crops, from coffee, pepper, all the crops, there is a kind of a drop due to climate change. But on total from the farm, the income gets a bit more stable when compared to neighboring farmers who have just gone for monoculture. So there's a large number of picking of farmers, primarily because they see the resilience aspect of agroecology. And also, like on contrast to the previous coffee rubber kind of a polycrop, what you call, coffee growing has become highly financially intensive. Like you need huge investments to set up local irrigation infrastructure, to save coffee plantation and create artificial rain using rocket sprayers, because the rain may not come at the right time and coffee will not flower. So that is a kind of a challenges which the mainstream farmers are facing, which is helping the other ways to work forward. And this is one of our favorite farmer, Shiju. He has been very successful farmer who has specialized in the diversity of tubers. You'll be surprised to know that he farms, or his farm has around a collection of more than 200 different tubers, and he's awarded by the central government, the state government, biodiversity authorities for the genome conservation which he's doing. But in the last 2018 flood, he lost everything. And he was telling me that there was a moment of despair, like he don't know what to do, because it is his life's savings. And after 2 weeks, he came back to his farm where the water has receded, and he found that all the tubers are struggling to sprout and grow. And he said in 3 months' time, the tubers are back to the initial levels without he doing anything. So since 2018, he has been more specializing on tubers and leaving some of the other cash crops which he used to do. So this also brings another factor that Kerala traditionally looks at tuber as a major source of as a food share. Like the calorie share in Kerala, there is a huge percentage coming from tubers. So that is again a very interesting opportunity for people like him, who is conserving a diversity of crops and tuber crops and sharing it with farmers who are then starting it again. And there are several tuber crop specialists now. So that is very easy way of replicating how one is struggling to survive in the context of climate vagaries or extremes. It is also easy to say that the conventional paddy in Kerala is mostly on the fragment ecosystems, so not resilient to extreme weathers. But the pesticides, the fertilizers, all add on to the fossil fuel burden for us. So the conversion to agroecology is something which is quite challenging on one side, but on the other side, on a philosophical side, we say that our land need to be converted back to foodscapes. What you're seeing here is one of the tunnels field learning site, the Agroecology Center in Wayanad, where in the middle you see the river is there, and close to the river you see a building, and then different colors. Each shade is a paddy species. You heard how important and how interesting is the Masipak seed conservation work, and the same from Bangladesh also. But here you can see this different shades. So each color you see in the landscape or the foodscape is one paddy variety. So each variety is flower differently. Their leaf colors are different. So we see that in a sense, the whole diversity is also bringing a lot more resilience. And there's also very interesting anecdotes in our the Agroecology Center. We have currently we have around 350 varieties, and there is also very interesting choices which is made by the animal people or animals. We have a bird which will nest, a rail which nest only on one variety of rice. So as part of our work, we rotate the species or the variety every year, and the bird also changes the nesting place according to the species where the variety where we shift it. Similarly, we have elephants which come and eat one particular variety of paddy, and they don't really destroy the other things. They come and eat one and go. So there are very interesting tales and stories. And also what you see here, the check dam was totally damaged by floods. Our paddy field was, the tunnel paddy field is this colorful, which you are seeing this in the middle. So that was fully flooded, and we are slowly recovering from the flood and building back our diversity. And on the other sides, you are seeing the famous coconut trees of Kerala, the areca palm, and on the hills you have the forest. So it's a natural ecosystem where the agriculture is not aligned from the natural ecosystem, where it very much links, and we get a lot of wild animals coming to the paddy fields and looking for small forest animals like the jungle cats, leopards, and we also have the largest bovine in India called gaur. One weighs more than a ton. They all come here, and even in the height of man-animal conflict, still we can have a coexistence, and we can survive together. That is what we are seeing here. Yeah. So from that, we have been more talking about innovations. This is one of the story which we are quite happy and proud about. As part of this again, an indigenous community owned 8 acres of land, where due to during the rainy season, they had bad rains and they lost part of their crop. During summer, the summer was so bad, and they couldn't, they lost all their crops. So this year, last year they kept the land for fallow, and this year they were planning to keep it on fallow. So we had the person standing close to the solar panel on white shirt is the Panchayat president or the local government leader. He's the head of the local government. So with his leadership, we had a lot of conversations about what to do, and finally emerged a possibility of setting up a solar-powered pump, so that there is a stream nearby. So we pump the water to the crop plant, and after irrigating, the water will flow back to the river. So it was a very interesting thing. So they called it regenerative agriculture, not the regenerative agriculture popularly used globally. So this is a common local language name given by the people there. They called it regenerative because they said last year the sun was killing all their crops, and this year the sun is saving the crops. So we have this very interesting story where the Panchayat is now taking initiative to scale up. This is a pilot, and this innovation was quite happy that during summer seasons, the people work in the morning for 2 hours, maybe 6 in the morning to 8 or 8:30, and then they work in the evening around 5 to 7. when there is no sun, because it is too strong a sun. You can't really survive the heat, and the sun's rays. So this particular thing changed the landscape. This is the landscape from the aerial view of the landscape. They harvested more than almost close to 600 kilos of vegetables. They could sell a lot of flowers. They also did a little bit of floriculture, a lot of tubers. They had a huge diversity, around 12 different species of crops, and if you count the varieties, maybe around 16 or different varieties there, and all irrigated by the solar power, and that give a lot of confidence to the indigenous community. Primarily for the indigenous communities, farming is not an occupation, it is their life, and they have their ways of doing things. So they were a bit worried when we asked them to offer the support. They don't want to really change from their traditional practices, and they were quite happy that they could continue with the traditional practices. And some of the seeds are, I should admit that some of the vegetable seeds are hybrids, but mostly others are local seeds, and they did a wonderful job of showing the large number of people, especially the media covered it quite well, and the indigenous communities from other areas of the state, they visited the local governments in different provinces or different districts are visiting the place. And altogether, it created a new kind of a hope that even on climate extremes, there is various ways of where you can play a little bit and move towards creating solutions or moving forward. We feel that we have in Kerala, we have around 38 different indigenous communities, and we are working with around 10 of them. For indigenous community, the major difference is they are not seeing agriculture as an occupation. They are not even seeing it as a livelihood. It is just part of their life. So this is in Attapadi, where we are working with the local community, and elephants will come and forage the millets. This is the millet field, and they don't really bother. They feel that the elephants are coming because there is no food in the forest. So the textbook scenarios of coexistence you see in the communities where they really work. And what I see, and what we as Tanal, what we are learning from them is the stress on forest, the stress on rivers. When the wetlands get stressed, or the agriculture land is on either the crops losing, or crops impacted by pest, everything is a pain for the local indigenous communities. They get really upset about the way the systems are collapsing, and they really look at to the robust ecosystems, because they believe that if the ecosystem is not sound, the human existence will not be very easy. So that is a very different story. But these people, if you look at any global scales, they are absolute in money terms. They are, I mean, even in the government of India standards, they are below poverty line, meaning they need support for economic support for economic prosperity of the families. On the other side, these are people who have land. These are people who know farming. These are people who have their own indigenous seeds, and they do one farming with almost zero tillage, only one tillage. And these are also people like when they have around a hectare farm, they use half of it for farming and keep the half for as a fallow, and they rotate between their own land. They keep rotating fallow and fallow, keeping the land fallow and keeping the farming. So it is a very interesting experience for us, learning more about how, and typically in agroecology, we say that no co-creation of knowledge. So these communities have really contributed in creating more knowledge about agroecology and understanding. And we always feel that whatever we have done in the mainstream planet, is violation of the right of these people to survive. That is a big challenge which will be addressed through climate justice and various other campaigns, and we will protest for that. We will struggle for that. But the other side, we have the communities making their own life with their own favorite dishes, favorite crops, and living with their own mountains and goats and chickens. And it is a long story which I can keep on talking, and I think my time is almost up, so I will stop here. Thank you very much for listening. And this again, one of the millet from their farms. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Jayan from Tanal. Thank you. I think you said it very beautifully, and that's what will stick when you said that for the indigenous communities, farming is not livelihood, but it's their life. No? So thank you for that sharing, and thank you for showing us the two sides of Kerala and how the indigenous community continue on and carry forward, regardless of despite of the climate challenges or the climate crisis. Yeah, it's really affecting the whole world, especially those of us in the global south, but it's also very empowering to see communities and farmers, indigenous peoples to fight on and continue on and live their lives as you said, agriculture and farming is their life and not just livelihood. So they're all very interconnected in all the aspects of climate, agriculture, nature, and everything. So thank you so much, Jayan. So we're very sorry for those who are asking. We tried our best to have interpretations, but really we cannot find we just failed. But next time, we have two more in this series of webinars, and we will ensure that there will be interpretations. On August 22nd, it will be about consumers, and on October 15, which is the Rural Women's Day, we will be having the series will focus on rural women. So at this point, I also would like to thank everyone who, before we go to the Q&A, we can maybe, no, we're already extended, but like maybe take some few questions. But I would like to thank everyone, every organizations from, we have 16 countries who attended tonight. So thank you so much for coming, for listening, for giving your time. We're just very grateful, and hopefully you come again in the next two next two episodes of our series. So at this point, if you have questions, you may raise your hand, and we will try to. Our speakers are still here, so they can try to answer your questions. There has been already an ongoing discussions on the chat. That's also okay. If your questions are already answered, no need to repeat it. But if you have questions now, please. Okay, let's hear one from Sri Lanka, our friend Tilak from Lanka Organic Agriculture Movement. Go ahead, Tilak.
Yeah, thank you, Te. It is very good, all the presentation, and we thankful to all the presenters. I have two different ideas because what they have mentioned, it is very important because the working with traditional rice varieties, it is all across Asia. It is a very important thing, and we also having that practices here. And again, we want to ask from the Pavel how the some of these the climate resistant varieties, especially drought tolerant and salinity tolerant varieties are there, and how possible to exchange, because some of these things we had it with us, but now we can't find it anymore because in the last 40 to, as you said correctly, 40 to 50 years we have abandoned it. Another thing, the Jayakumar was saying about the very important thing with the another climate crop, with the root crops, especially the yam varieties, and how we can develop and exchange the knowledge. And it is very important. We have find out with Sri Lankan case, we have 58 different varieties of yam, and that knowledge base is there. We want to share with you people and develop the some of the things in a way what you were saying. And thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Tilak. Pavel, you go first.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Tilak, for your questions, and also you want to exchange. Yes. Uh, if you want, you can. Not you. Basically, it is the principle of the seed bank. The farmers can only exchange their seeds. So, if your farmers who are facing the salinity or the drought problems, so they can get the seeds from the farmer seed bank. It's very easy, but if we have exchanged the lots of seeds through the PANAP program, so most of the time we brought the seeds with us, and the farmers and also the participants, we exchanged our seed, and we basically uh, give the seeds to the farmer, and after that the lots of farmers, they cultivated these seeds, the rice and the vegetables. So it can be possible by any exchange program, so organized by anybody, but it is very crucial that not the all saline tolerant varieties not easily grown in Sri Lanka or the any kind of areas, but we need to try to do this. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jayant, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I have two comments. One, I thank you, Pavel, for clarifying on the paddy. Tilak, I think it is quite possible, and we have seen that in the times of flood, we have. I'm sure Pavel also has the same thing. In India, we have paddy which grows as tall as 3 meters, floating in the water, and we have seen even some of the farmers used to say that they had times when the water is very deep. The paddy will keep on growing to 4.5 meters of height and continue to survive, and the sowing is done or transplanting is done by hand and standing, but the harvest is done in boats, so the scenario changes. So there is a whole combination of experiences we can share, where there is a first cropping of fish and second cropping of paddy. There are several other practices which are being evolved, but as Pavel rightly said, this will be local specific solutions which need to be acclimatized, or you need to learn from that and add your flavor and make it the Sri Lankan experience, which is very, very crucial. There is no kind of what we call, there is no universal solutions. We all come from our communities, and our community solutions are very much, the microbial biome is different. So sometimes the seeds may not really grow when it goes to Sri Lanka, because the particular microbe which was there in the Kerala soils, even though we are half an hour from each other and our seas is connected, we can just take in a fishing boat and reach Colombo, but the seeds will refuse to grow because their colleague or their partner microbe is not in the soil. So you really need to work on that little more. And the same, whatever both Pavel and I said right now on paddy is applicable to yams, we can really help you with names, and if there is needs, there are possibilities of even sharing seeds. There is not much problems. We can, at least as you see, that is the people-led agroecology, where people also have a strong role, and there is this brotherhood of or the communities coming together and working for a common cause, and that can be done. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Thank you.
Jayant. Yeah, that's right. No, so that's actually that's the heart of the people at agroecologists, people coming together to advance agroecology, and we share all the seeds. But yeah, it's true, that's also at the same time the beauty of agroecology, that seeds are very local and very specific, but there's always trials, there's always seed exchange. We can always do that, no? And at this point, I would like to invite everyone, those who are not yet part of IPAM or who are not yet part of our field learning sites, please join us. Visit ipam-global.org or email me, Terence, at panap.net or Mabi at panap.net. My colleague will input our emails on the chat box right now. Send us an email so we can start conversations on how to join the field learning site. So we want to really broaden our network so that we all can continue to work together in advancing agroecology and, you know, making sure that our future is agroecology, that the future of food systems is agroecology. So are there other connections? Sorry, questions? Thank you so much. We also have just released our July August newsletter, which can be found as well in our IPAM website, and also panap.net. Our newsletter is also there. We have Agroecology in Action newsletter, which we release every 2 months. So at this release, our second issue, the main issue is on the main article is on GMOs. So it's really it would be good to also read that newsletter. Mabi wrote, our friend Mabi, my colleague Mabi here wrote the main article. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining tonight. Thank you, and hope to see you all again in the next series on August 22. Before I say goodbye, our August 22, the episode of our series, The Future is Now, will be entitled Just It's, the Role of Consumers in Agroecology. So that's August 22. And then Rural Women's Roles in Agroecology would be in October 15. Again, thank you all so much. Please get in touch and join IPAM Field Learning Sites. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bonsoir. Buenas noches.